Hello guys, now I'm with...
I'm Ming from the Oriental Pearl channel.
Oh! She's my idol. She's the reason I made the video.
When you told me that, I just about fell off my chair. I did not know that.
Yeah.
But that's so cool.
Your real name is Alisa, right?
Yeah.
Where are you from, Alisa?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan, USA, born and raised there, and I left in 2012 for China and Japan, and I've been gone ever since.
Wow!
Yeah.
And what made you like to go to China, or like in this case like Asia? What made you like, okay, I'm going to China, I want to learn Chinese?
You know what? Originally, I went because I had a Chinese boyfriend.
Okay. Like a real one? Like the mainland?
It always goes back to love. Well,
do you know that there's a game where Duolingo meets Final Fantasy? Guys, you really need to check this out. One of my good friends, Manu, who's also a polyglot, right now is making an amazing video game where you can learn a language while having a great adventure. It's called Speechbound. So instead of just clicking through the dialogue, you can interact with the world with the speech mechanics, solve puzzle, fighting through a monster, and progress throughout the story. It feels so educational without feeling of studying, which I really love. Oh, and by the way, I'm in the game too. You can find my NPC, talk to me, and maybe I can give you some quests. You can play the demo right now on Steam for free. Guys, you really need to support these developers. Right now, they're doing a Kickstarter campaign. Go to the Kickstarter and support them. Or you can also follow their social media on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, and then you can get the update of the game from time to time. Oh, and you know what? To be honest, this is the coolest language learning game that I've ever seen. Let me know what you think in the comment sections. Links are in the descriptions. Go Speechbound!
Use your power to heal the world.
Salva en el bosque.
Todos están desaparecidos. Está bastante mal. Everyone is missing. It is pretty bad.
Speechbound. Learn a language. Save the world.
alright, here's a full story. When I was a university student, there were a lot of exchange students from China, and I wanted to be their friends. And at that time, I also had a Chinese boyfriend from outside the school, and his parents didn't speak English. So I thought I would learn a little Chinese, and I ended up really liking it. I ended up liking the language so much that after graduating, I went to China for a month, and I loved it so much that I decided to stay.
Wow.
I never came back. And then from Chinese, I grew to like Japanese. From Japanese, I grew to like Korean and Cantonese, and yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Wow. Okay, so how long did you stay in China?
About 6 years in total.
And what city? Shanghai? Guangzhou?
I lived in a couple places. The first was Harbin in the north. And there's very few foreigners there, and that's one reason I wanted to go, so I could be in the total Chinese environment with very little English.
So like a full immersion.
Pretty much.
You chose that place, or did the...
Well, the boyfriend I just mentioned from college, he was from there. We ended up actually breaking up during that time, but I figured out I liked China more than him.
You are in love with the China culture.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy, but yeah, I wanted to live in China and I wanted to continue to learn the language. So I went over there and I taught English so I could afford the language classes.
So you lived like 6 years in China, so you were like an English teacher.
I wasn't an English teacher the whole time. For about 3 years I taught English. Then I was a student at Fudan University in Shanghai, so I got my master's there. It's not that straightforward. It's not 6 years straight. I moved back and forth from China and Japan multiple times. Back and forth.
Oh, it's Japan, it's not USA, okay.
Yeah, there was 1 year I went back to the US. I guess I didn't know where I wanted to be.
Okay.
I moved cities every year. So I lived in Harbin, Beijing, Shanghai, Tokyo, back to the US at one point, then back to Shanghai, then Taiwan. I lived there for a little bit. I was always moving.
Wow, that's okay. This is really interesting. Like, Like first, that's with the language. How long did it take you to speak like a good Chinese? Like you can do the bang thing, you can ask for help, like even maybe like an urgency to the police.
Yeah, after about 1 year in Harbin and taking language classes like 20 hours a week, I took a 6-month intensive language course, and after that course, then I could do all that. But it wasn't until I think 2.5 to 3 years of Chinese that I took the HSK 6 at that time. That was their, highest level of the exam. When I took that, I passed it, and it took about 2.5, 3 years. So I was professionally proficient in Chinese after about 2.5, 3 years of really intense stuff.
Wow, that's fast, right? I mean, like that's amazing. That's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, I was going, like, I couldn't do 20 hours of class every week forever. I'd do like 3 months or 6 months and then take a break. And then do it again really hardcore for 6 months, then take a break.
But when you lived in Tokyo for a year, did you already speak Japanese that time?
Yeah, I did take some classes in China. So this is called language stacking. I've heard a couple polyglot YouTubers talk about this. You use one language to learn another. So when I was in China, they taught us Japanese through the Chinese language. It's like killing two birds with one stone.
And with Japanese, how long did it take you to speak a good Japanese?
Definitely slower than Chinese because my attention was split. When you start trying to learn multiple languages at the same time, it gets slower. I started learning Japanese after I passed HSK, the highest level, which at that time the highest level was 6. But I was still learning Chinese words, reading Chinese books. I was studying Japanese even while I was at school in China. So it was a thing I did on the side. It took me maybe to get good at Japanese, the equivalent level. It took me about 4 years.
And what about Korean?
Korean I'm studying now, and this seems to be it's getting faster but getting slower. If you study languages in the same language family, let's say you're learning Slavic languages, you learn Russian and other Slavic languages, you stay in that category, it'll be faster. With Chinese, Japanese, Korean, they all were based off of kanji at one time. So you get like 25% off. It's like buy one full price, get the next 25% off.
Yeah, it's the same like me with Spanish and then Portuguese and Italian. Basically, like if you know Spanish, you can read everything in Portuguese mostly.
But yeah, Korean's been slow because I am now studying so many languages right now.
Sure. I mean, you're studying like for real until you get the proficient level. I mean, like the HSK and also like N5? No, N1, right? The highest one.
I want to go all the way. I want to go deep. I don't want to just stop at beginner or intermediate level. My goal is to become advanced in every language, and that takes so long, Sonny.
Sure.
How
long has it been?
24 hours a day.
How long has it been like with the Chinese and Japanese? Just 2 of those.
I can't pretend that I'm like studying Chinese every day. I occasionally maybe. All right, I have a graph. I'll tell you how many hours I study it right now. I actually input it so I know. But I've started in 2012. In 30 days, I did 7 hours of Chinese. I did 40 hours of Korean, 20 hours of Japanese.
Okay.
15 hours of Cantonese. That's my month.
Wow.
So now it's getting much slower because I'll tell you, I used to do 30 hours of Chinese in a week, not in a month.
That's like working.
Yes. So to do 40 hours of Korean in a month is way slower than my Chinese in the beginning.
Sure.
But I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, also like with the work and also like everything.
So I want to learn Vietnamese this year, but adding another language, like you're learning Japanese, now your Spanish is going to have less time. Now your Portuguese is going to have less time.
Yeah.
I'm interested in Vietnamese. I'm legitimately interested. There's no other language that pops into my head that I want to learn. Sorry, Spanish. Sorry, French. Sorry, German. I'm interested in
Asian.
East Asian culture.
It's Asian culture.
I like it. And Vietnamese culture has a lot of similarities with China. So
Yeah.
naturally.
Exactly. Exactly. But one thing that I know with the Vietnamese, because I have a Vietnamese friend, they don't like to be called Chinese.
Didn't say they're the same. I said they have a lot of similarities. Their words, even though I don't know any Vietnamese yet, just a little bit, I can understand some of the vocabulary just because the
really?
pronunciation comes from kanji. And
For example,
for example, when I went, this was a few years ago, I went to Vietnam and they had signs in the bathroom and I could pick out some of the words were almost
Yeah.
the same.
oh, okay, that's interesting.
Korean
Interesting.
has that too. A lot of their words
Korean
came
has-
from China. Japanese has that. Now you're learning my cheats.
I'm learning your cheats. Okay. Now I want to ask you like your method, because right now I'm learning Japanese, and to be honest, it's been like 1 year and it's been like really slow. Like now I can kind of like read more in hiragana, katakana, but now I have problem with kanji. What's your tips? Because I think this is like a lot of people when learning Japanese, the problem is with kanji. Do you need to memorize all of that, or what's your method?
That's a great question. If you really want to become all-rounded with a language, there's listening, speaking, writing, and reading. There's 4 components. Now, that's if you really, really want to know the language 100% and have no weak spots.
Okay.
You can. I'm not saying you have to do this, but if you want to take shortcuts, you can skip reading and writing. It's not ideal because it's an important skill, but I do know native speakers of Japanese that are like half, they're mixed. You talk to them, you'd think their Japanese is perfect, and they can't read or write.
Oh,
You can learn a language without learning to read and write. It depends on what you want to do, Sonny. If you want to use Japanese for the ometv videos, kanji's not going to help you. It's going to make it a lot slower. But in the long run, would I say learn kanji? Of course. If you really want
Sure.
to learn all of the language, then yeah. But if you want, your goal is to go faster and you want to do it for ometv, you want to do it to talk to people, then you're going to slow yourself down doing kanji.
Well, right now my method is like playing Pokemon, but it's in Japanese. Like, I don't know anything about this. I mean,
No kanji on here.
yeah. I mean, the good thing they don't put any kanji, so it's like pure hiragana and katakana. But still, I mean, I lack of vocabulary. Wow. And okay, let's talk about the cultural thing here, because you're from USA. When you went to China, what was your cultural shock?
So much. Obviously I really like the country. And I went back. I actually went to China, lived there for a year, didn't like it. I didn't like Harbin. I didn't like it and I moved back home.
Okay.
And then within 10 months, I'm like, you know what? I want to go back to China. So
Okay.
the original culture shock was bad. It was strong. It wasn't just culture. It was also, oh gosh, Harbin is harsh. It was too cold, too gloomy. The air quality was not good. I don't know if it was culture that shocked me. It was more standard of living.
Sure.
Sometimes we would lose power because in some of the outside the main cities in China, the power's not that stable.
Oh.
So people would tell me like take all your electronics out of the socket before you leave the house because if there's a power surge, it will ruin all your electronics like that.
Okay. Understood.
But it wasn't so much culture. There was some funny stories, but culture didn't get me to move. It was a standard of living. If you want to hear a funny cultural story that shocked me, like
Let's go.
we don't use a lot of, they call it aizuchi in Japanese. It's like the
Okay.
We don't do that much in English. We just look at you.
Okay.
I was
okay.
in the dentist and in China. My Chinese was very good at that point. And they're like, does it still hurt? I'm like,
Uh-huh.
And if I said to you, does that mean yes or no in Indonesia?
No.
Oh, it
Means
means no. Okay, in China it means yes. So,
Oh!
and they drilled it so deep, like way deeper than it needed to go.
Oh!
Those kind of culture shocks happen all the time. I'm like, in my country, means no.
Yeah.
No.
But in China it means yes.
Japan, by the way, is no in Japan.
Wow! Okay.
So, is a yes, and is a no. Just.
Wow. Your parents, and this is like the thing with Asian parents and maybe like the European or maybe like American parents. Did your parents support you back then?
100% no.
Like the China or Japan, or we both?
Both, especially China. Well, I lived there first, so
Okay.
even to this day, my dad hates that I live here.
Really?
Yes. It was really harsh when I first moved to China to teach English. Like, him and my grandpa said, you threw your life away. Threw it away. You had lots of chances. You graduated from school with high grades, and it was a small school, but I tried really hard. Graduated, top student, and they're like, okay, now you're gonna go to China and teach English? Okay, what a waste. What a waste.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was constant backlash. I think some of it was they just missed me.
Yeah.
But some of it was they thought it was a bad decision. Now, my dad, he doesn't think it's bad. He thinks it worked out, but he thinks I was just lucky.
No. Oh. Do your family of your husband accept you good? Because I've heard that this thing like with the Asian, especially like the Korean, Japanese, and Chinese, they're kind of really harsh with the foreigners.
That's going to totally depend on your family, the person. Okay. That's also going to depend a lot on if you speak their language or not.
Sure.
It makes it a lot harder if you don't speak Japanese. But I was lucky. I got the full support of my in-laws, and they are so supportive that they're even in our YouTube videos.
Oh!
If you understand Japanese culture, that's a big deal.
Yeah, that's like another level.
Okay, we'll be on YouTube.
Okay. Now, can you show me the languages, like the Chinese and Japanese and Korean?
大家好，我叫安明，来自美国底特律。现在我在搞油管，我的频道叫 Oriental Pearl， 就是东方民主，上海的那个东方民主塔。因为我以前住在上海的时候，在上海读书的时候，非常喜欢东方民主塔，所以我现在的油管频道叫东方民主。
I could understand like some like you studied in Shanghai, the kind of thing.
Well, people always ask me why my channel is called Oriental Pearl.
Yeah.
Pearl Tower in Shanghai.
Yeah, the building, right? If I'm not wrong.
Right. Okay. じゃあ次は、はい、皆さんこんにちは。私はアリサです。で、アメリカ人で多分7年、8年ぐらいずっと日本に住んでいます。で、うちの旦那は日本人だから家庭でいつも日本語で話してます。よろしくお願いします。
Oh. Okay. Korean.
여러분 안녕하세요. 저는 미국 사람인데 오랫동안 일본에서 살고 있어요. 지금 K-Village라고 하는 한국어 학원에서 한국어 배우고 있어요. Okay, I don't know what else should I say.
That's amazing. Okay. The Cantonese.
大家好，我嘅名叫安明，依家住日本東京，我係學廣東話，但係我講得唔好。我係美國人，但係我住澳洲好耐，應該10年多嚇。
Whoa.
Cantonese is the
Okay.
weakest.
This is a question that like a lot of my followers like. What do you know about Indonesia?
Oh, maybe more than the average American because I can point it out on a map.
Okay, that's the thing.
All right, here's what I know about Indonesia. It's a huge archipelago of islands, massive islands. There's over 200 million people in the country. It's huge, one of the biggest countries in the world population-wise. Over 90% Muslim country, but there's different ethnicities. It's actually the biggest Muslim country in the world.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I went there once, but I didn't get to go to the capital, which is Jakarta, and that's on the island of Sumatra.
No.
Biggest island. Oh, darn it, I messed up. No, Java.
Java.
It's on Java. Sumatra is a different
Java.
island. That's a bigger island. Okay. Jakarta's on Java. It's got most of the population of Indonesia there on that island.
Do you know any Indonesian? Any words? Let's go.
Apa kabar?
Okay.
Asians taught me that.
Not even Indonesian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kabar bait.
Kabar baik. Oh.
That's about it.
Okay.
How's my pronunciation? Sounds Malay, right?
Sounds American. Like the R. Because like the R, like we don't R. We like R. Can you do that? R.
Apa kabar?
Apa kabar?
See, this is why you're good at Spanish, because
Exactly.
rolling R.
We have the rolling R. You don't have like in Chinese, Japanese? Yeah, you don't have that, right?
No.
Wow, Alisa.
Oriental Pearl Sony collab. Here we go.
Let's go. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Hi, arigatou gozaimashita. Ojikan ni itadaki.
Okay, so guys, if you like my video, you of course will like Oriental Pearl video because she's like my idol. She's the reason also why I started YouTube. So check her video out.
I didn't even know that when I contacted you, but that makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Alisa. So I'll see you.
All right, I'll see you in Japan. Hi.
Hi.
Matemasu. Bye bye.